The following is a presentation of the Control Trends Podcasting Network.
Stromquist. Welcome to Control Talk Now, your HVAC and Smart Buildings podcast and video cast for the week ending August 18th, 2019. This is episode 327, where we talk about all things smart building controls, HVAC controls, and whatever else your codes to mind. The man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only. Has he gotten his feet damaged in a cryotherapy chamber yet? Kenny Smyers. Kenny, welcome to the show, big dog.
Well, thank you very much, Eric. But you know what? You're the only person I know that's ever gone near a cryogenic chamber.
Yeah.
You used to go in the, what?
Still do,
minus
man.
135 or something?
No,
you
like
still do?
minus 155 Fahrenheit.
155.
You're basically in there for
insane to go in there. I mean,
you do have to be insane, but then again, I mean, when has that ever stopped me before, right? But the fact
I think you're referring to Antonio Brown.
I am referring to Antonio Brown for our listeners out there who don't know, who apparently got in a cryotherapy machine either without socks or with wet socks, and that is just insanity, Kenny, because again, basically what happens in these things, it's good for, muscles, obviously, if you got sore muscles, but it's also good if you have like arthritis or any sort of stuff like that. It's really good for that. But one of the things it essentially does is your body sort of goes into shock. You're in there for 3 minutes, right? So your body starts to go into shock. So all your systems start to shut down, which means all the blood goes to your organs, right? And then when you get out, it flushes back out. So you get this huge endorphin rush. It's like the ultimate high. So that's kind of why I did. I wish I could say it was for other reasons, but I'm a thrill seeker. What can I say? But the fact that he went in there without socks, is absolutely insane. So,
Well, the football seasons, like I think we had mentioned earlier, it's been a quiet, long summer now. We had some awful weather at the beginning, but it wound up being a sensational summer now. We got these long summer days and the gorgeous nights where it's nice to sit outside. And then all of a sudden you start hearing people talk about football. Football leads to, a whole nother season. And it's just kind of spooky how quickly things transition from season to season, especially the ones you like. Like I want summer to last a lot longer than it's going to, but we're already seeing the leaves start to change here. But
are you really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Well, the
great.
people have the big trees. We just have a couple little trees, but yep, they start, as soon as they fall off, they blow in front of my driveway, in front of my garage door. So I say, hi Autumn, how you doing? And but no, it's plus the football season at the beginning of it, it's like it's not a Christmassy season type thing, seasonal, but I somehow get excited. I played football for a long time, and I can't help it. The harder I try not to get caught up in that, but the high school people were getting really excited because there's some relatives that have kids that play at the local level, and college, of course, is always interesting because that's the fun game to watch. It's where you can't tell what's going to happen, and then the pros,
Right. Well, I tell you what, Kenny, is people in the know that the football season really kicks off when Ken Smyers has his birthday, because he has his birthday and that kicks football season off. But why are we talking about football right now? We're talking about football, Kenny, because there's a correlation between football and the Control Trends Award season, because, this is the time that the sponsors come on board. We start to ramp it up. And, buddy, we've got just a fabulous show planned. Before we talk about some of the sponsors that came on this week and have already signed up, let's talk a little about the venue and the show. And it's kind of a football theme, right? Because we're combining two great events. Tell our community about it.
You've mentioned it too. It happens once in a lifetime, these sort of things, where we have actually 3 events happening on the same day, February 2nd. We have Groundhog Day, which everybody knows how important that is. We have the Control Trends Awards, which is extremely important to us and our community. And then we have the Super Bowl 54, I think it is. So imagine you're sitting there and we go through a great show. We're going to be all themed up with football. There's going to be, goalposts and referee jerseys and yellow flags flying, maybe.
Cheerleaders.
And we're working on cheerleaders and then to be able to transition right in the same setting. So we've got 2 70-inch TVs. We have an opportunity to bring the big, what do you call it? The
Jumbotron type thing, right?
No, these are 70-inch monitors versus having the backdrop where they can drop a thing for
like a
projection.
screen.
Screen, but it's it's not good for everybody because of the angles.
Yeah.
So we opted to go with the 70-inch monitor. So people are going to have just a great. It's going to be a great place to have a football party, a tailgate party, and then you don't have to really leave your seats. So wherever you're at, you get to transition right into the Super Bowl.
So let me get this right, Kenny. Let me just get this right. So we've got the spectacle of the Control Trends Awards and all that is, plus we're combining it with a Super Bowl party. So it's going to be the biggest Super Bowl party in Orlando. And for some of our special sponsors, even going to have a pre-party. So basically we're starting the show an hour early. So the Control Trends Awards will be over and done with by the time the Super Bowl kicks off. And you'll be there. You won't have to move. You're going to have not just the big screens up front, but their TVs all around BB King's Club, which is where the thing is. So it's just going to be a great venue. You're not going to have to leave your seat. Ken and I are going to make sure you're entertained. We're going to have a great time. So you're going to get to sit there with your hardware, your trophies, and you get to watch, either the Falcons or the Steelers, get the Super Bowl hardware, something like that, right?
Absolutely, and the venue is actually on International Boulevard. So if you're familiar with Orlando, you have the convention center is about a half mile away, or a little bit over, not even a half mile. But so we're going to be very centrally located, so everybody can, it won't be a big deal to get there because everybody's probably already got their hotel rooms, and it's very centrally located, right by the convention center. So it's a great location as far as logistics. Maybe a short cab ride or Uber, whatever you prefer. But so we're real happy about that. And then the venue is just an open thing. It's going to be one of the largest Super Bowl parties in Orlando, I'm sure, because we're going to have.
It's going to be the largest. But
we're going to have 300 and some people there.
Well, we're going to have all the cool people are going to be there. There might be.
Yeah, so it's really exciting. We're working, we're chipping away at the actual run of show and stuff. So it's all shaping up pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it's going to be fun. So, yeah, it's going to be more casual this year. It's going to be, like I say, it's going to be a whole football thing, but it's going to be fantastic. More on that to come. But, Kenny, it wouldn't be possible without our sponsors. And, one of the things this year that is a bit different, and, a lot of our sponsors might not be aware of this, but we've actually had to turn people away in the past because we've been selling the shows out, which has been great. This year's venue is a little bit smaller, more intimate. So if you're thinking about being a sponsor this year, please reach out to us ASAP because we are going to have a limited number of sponsors. But people that already have, for example, and we want to thank those right off the bat, EasyIO and KMC have come on as Platinum Pluses. That basically means they're going to be having a pre-party in conjunction with everything else. We've got 2 more of those left. And then we had Kelly came on this week. Jackson Controls is on. Siemens is on. We've got we're waiting to hear back. We got some other people that have committed, but not officially. So we're waiting to hear back from them. But we're taking care of the platinums first, and the people that have been loyal to the cause every year. We're taking care of them first, and we have seats left over. We're going to make sure we get our golds and bronze and silvers in, and we should have this thing, done probably by the end of the month, Kenny.
Right, Contemporary Controls also came in.
Oh, Contemporary, please, George Thomas.
So
yeah,
we're really excited, like you say, to get the things really engineered and stabilized. It's great to see the early commitments from our sponsors. And you're right, they're great people, but they understand they're going to have a great time. It's great utility as far as having, you got so many people down there, so many moving parts. You got customers to worry about, you got your own staff to worry about, and if you can consolidate that and put it in one place, and it's a stable environment with a lot of customers, a lot of friends, it's just going to be a darn good time.
Yeah, no, it's a good time, and it's it's great for morale building with your team. And most of the people that come in for the show are at the AHR show. That's why they're there. So they typically have a team in place that's setting the show up on that Sunday, getting the booth ready and everything. That those people, you got to feed those people. I don't know about you, but my salespeople, that you leave them to their own devices, man, they're going to spend more money than the sponsorship it costs. So this way you can corral them in, create good morale, bring your customers in, have a great time. So,
and like you say, it's gonna come down to crunch time again. We'll probably have an early sellout, and so it's you got to go through your sponsors to get a seat, get a place in there, because it'll just eventually there's early adopters. They move real quick, like we just mentioned, our sponsors, and then we'll have some a very strong surge probably in a couple of weeks from now, and then all of a sudden we're going to be limiting how many more people we can get in there, because we have a cap at 350. So
yeah, we do, and that's because of A, B, and B. You're not welcome to our show. They took our venue that we were going to have at the Hard Rock. We had at the Hard Rock, we'd have room for all the sponsors we needed, A, B, and B. bad.
Like you said, the greatest form of flattery is imitation. So they
And
saw what they.
like Picasso said, also the greatest form of thievery is imitation. So there we go. But that being said, it is smaller. So we're really, sort of sounding the bell early and letting people know, hey, if you want to participate, please get on board now, because we're not going to have any. We got a hard stop with the number of people we can have at this venue. It's going to be an incredible venue. The sound's going to be great. There's not a bad seat in the house. It's going to be spectacular. So be sure to get in sooner rather than later.
Well said. Yeah. So it's and like I say, it's August 18th. Is it? What is it? Yeah. And so we're seems like we're in a lull, but man, it's just all of a sudden I feel this thing's going to accelerate. Everything's going to just happen. Once school starts for the peoples and kids go away to school and college and whatever, all of it's going to be Thanksgiving, and then next it's going to be the holidays, and then it's going to be the Control Trends Awards and Super Bowl and the AHR show. Right. And it's going to be exciting too for all those people down there too, because we've had last show or a couple shows ago we talked with Ken St. Clair about all the things that are going on down there at the HR show. So it used to be trade shows, can't live with them, can't live without them. The efficacy of the trade shows, but we're seeing a resurgence now. We're seeing that not only are people going to the trade show for the benefit of the trade show and new products and networking, but there's a lot of education going on simultaneously in all those breakouts.
Well, listen, the other thing too is pretty incredible, Ken. So another announcement we want to make this week is we've launched the Control Trends Awards website. And if I can do a screen share, Kenny, I will bring that bad boy up here. So let's just try this real quick and see if I can use this great technology. So you're going to have to tell me when my screen is on.
It's on right now.
Okay, cool. So let me pull over here and let's pull up the Control Trends Awards website. And, Kenny, while I'm bringing this up, let's talk about this a little bit. We promised a museum. We're obviously not going to get to the museum anytime, so we're eventually hoping to have like a physical location. But if you look at this, here is the history of the Control Trends Awards. And if we sort of come through this, we've got all the shows, starting back with Dallas, and all the video content that we have. So there's our friend Roger Rebenak. He was the first PID.
Wait, who's that young guy standing next to me? Who's that? I don't remember. Who's it?
Me, man. That's me and you, man. This is the only bad thing about things like this is we run so much page. But this is sort of an example. The video content. Your name sort of just captured here. We got the highlight videos, the individual award videos.
That's spectacular, man.
Yeah, there's Mark Talk. So we got all that, and we're going to keep adding to that. So this is going to be ongoing, but this is, like I say, it's new for us. We're going to keep working with it, and our Platinum Plus sponsors are actually going to be able to get an advertisement spot on this as well as the regular Control Trends site. So again, Kenny and I started this as a way to acknowledge the superstars of the industry, and this is just one more step, making sure that we recognize them, and this goes on and on. So your great grandchildren will recognize you. They go, "Who's that guy right there?" And one of the grandkids, your granddaughters, go, "That's my granddad, the man, the myth, the legend." There's Mike.
Well, I tell you what, these are great memories. I just when I think about that, that's Las Vegas there, and that was quite a show. That was at the Hard Rock Cafe in Las Vegas. Yeah. But so we're going to be putting another great season, another great capture. 2019 has been an extraordinary Control Trends Awards season because it has produced a lot of great solutions. Great people have emerged. We're seeing the globalization of our industry. We're seeing some of the people in America, the North American companies, doing very well overseas. We're seeing companies like EasyIO just continue to grow and gain critical mass in all these geographic areas. So it's pretty exciting. And we have new releases. The Honeywell folks come up with the Cyper controllers. And in the IP control, there's a preference now for IP controllers that are coming on to either the BAS network or the Building Enterprise Network. So we're seeing cybersecurity number one trend. All the information being driven around data and then protecting that data, protecting that network.
No, it just seems like it's that this has been a pivotal year. Mm-hmm. We've been talking about it, and now it seems like it's happening, right? And it's not like a sudden slap in the face. It's more kind of like a caress, right? But it's here. And then when we saw the building that Distech did with Jones Lang LaSalle, sort of bringing it all together.
Sure.
it's an exciting time. And, Kenny, I got to tell you, it's kind of slow right now. I think most of our industry, there's not a lot going on. There's kind of a lull, but, we've had just massive things on control trends that we've talked about and things that have been happening in new products and stuff. Seems like we're in a bit of a lull, but that's going to pick back up. So there's not a whole lot for us to talk about this week, but I do want to say something. I want to thank Aaron Gorka and Brett Burrows for filling in last week.
Indeed.
Kenny and I were on a top secret mission, and we can't talk about it or we'll get shot. But these guys stepped up to the plate, filled in with their show, Next Generation Innovation. And you talk about a global thing. They had a team from Poland on, a powerhouse from Poland. So that was great stuff. But good job from those guys, Brent and Aaron, the younger generation coming up, keeping the legacy of control trends going on. So that was good stuff.
Well, you brought a good point. We've got 4 submissions so far for young guns, and basically for anybody out there that has an internal champion, a young gun that they want to feature and get out there into the limelight. We'd sure like to see them be part of the show because, again, we're trying to bring positive attention to our industry. How do people get here? How, tell the story, kind of reverse engineer how that young person is, from their prominent position they have right now, how'd they get there? What was their first steps? Were they coming through the trades, the tech school, college, university, family business?
Well, and I think that's one thing that, we've been tracking this trend for the last 6-7 years, that there is, a lack of great talent. Not that they're not talented people, but they're so in demand. There are not enough of them. And that trend has not changed, Kenny, and that's going to continue. That gap's going to continue to sort of widen. So, again, part of the young guns is for Kenny and I to in our industry to acknowledge some of the young superstars, hopefully entice them to come into the industry. So, I think with the work of people like Brian Lovell and people like that, trying to attract young people and get the smart building controls curriculum in colleges, I think that's going to help too. But that problem's not going away anytime soon.
I recently received a survey. In fact, yesterday I received a survey from a group, one of those think tank groups that's trying to, they want to detail what are the requirements. A gentleman named Rohini Sravastava. Tell us about what you think about the workforce and the skills needed to operate and maintain a high-performance building, which was kind of interesting. So, he's a senior research analyst with buildings programs, and so this is the kind of engineering we need socially, to find out where it is. And then you mentioned Brian's name; he's getting us, federal, codes, so that when you describe what your profession is, it actually has a federal source to it, that you can actually, you get scaled and all that kind of stuff there, but again, you have to establish the standards, what is necessary. So we're working on a project to really help facility managers identify what a smart building is and how they could be how to make your building smart, because it's not easy. And each individual is a journey unto its own. So it's kind of it's great times, exciting times, I think, for seeing all these engines, these wheels turning, and we got the announcement of another big event that like the Realcomm IBCons, they put on the, Realcomm IBCon is the Intelligent Building Conference, and then you have Realcomm, which is celebrated their 21st year. But the ability to collaborate quickly and get ideas out, and the locus of control kind of changing from the vendor-driven, manufacturer-driven to the user-driven, the big users, the end users, the big real estate folks, Jones Lang LaSalle, CB Richfield, they now are saying, hey, we want a smart building, and we're not going to let this disenfranchised system come into our building where it doesn't talk. At the end of the day, they want a single pane, they want a single user interface. And as Ken St. Clair has tracked again and again, the lovey-touchy thing, that smart device connection to the building. There's emotional feelings there that we weren't aware of, I don't think. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Speaking of emotional things, have you seen Quentin Tarantino's new movie yet, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I sure did.
It's really bizarre, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, it has, it traces, real history, and that was a god-awful times.
So not to give anything away, but if you haven't seen it yet, it's a very interesting movie. It's Tarantino style. It didn't move quite as fast as I wanted to, and I'm going to talk about one scene in a minute, but you really need to understand the Charlie Manson, Sharon Tate murders. If you understand that, you got to get some context on that, because apparently one of the things that Tarantino does, I didn't realize this because that ending sort of threw me a little bit, But what Tarantino apparently does in a lot of his movies is he rewrites history, right? So that you have a different feel. And so like when Brad Pitt is, beating the what out of these guys, it's kind of like, the people that live through that horror going, yeah, that's what we wish had happened, right? That they'd walked in on somebody like that. But that was good. But what do you think about the Brad Pitt Bruce Lee fight scene? That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Well, this generated some controversy. Muhammad Ali's daughter apparently watched the movie, and she felt very uncomfortable, having to deal with the fallout of that and the blowback. I guess Bruce Lee's family also commented, about how that wasn't a true depiction, and you shouldn't take liberties like that, and give people the wrong impression or an impression that wasn't legitimized by their family.
You know what I have to say? Lighten up. It was just a friggin' movie, and it was funny.
Well, what's the one thing we watched where Philip K. Dick wrote several books, and one of them was where the outcome of World War II was different.
And
how
man in the high castle.
The Axis shared the United States, and there was this side and that side. And I'll tell you what, when you do play with history like that, and a different iteration of something that we're all living through, it really does create some questions. How, number one, how the world was so open, back with its Tarantino in the 60s. I mean, when you look at that and the music and everything, it brings back, because that was the 68 and 69 years, 1968, 1969, even 1967, 68, 69 were probably the most turbulent, radical years of the 100 years history. From the
but also you're right. But all right, for you youngsters out there, we're going to bring it back home because we're going to tie it back to the controls industry. We brought this up for a point, because in the 60s it was very radical. You had two extreme sides. You had the hippies, and you had the Vietnam War, all kinds of crazy things going on. Okay, but the main character in the movie, and this is metaphorically, I think, very important for our industry. Leonardo DiCaprio plays him. And if you're Ken of my age, you remember all the Westerns on TV, like Gunsmoke and all that, right? Clint Eastwood and the Rifleman and all that. So Leonardo DiCaprio's character plays a famous TV actor from the 50s who was just well known for the Westerns, right? Okay. So part of the story, and this is where it relates, is Leonardo is struggling because what people want to see and how movies and TV shows are being done is changing. So part of it is his struggle to try to stay relevant in a world that changes, that makes no sense to him, right? So it's sort of, that's our correlation. So homework assignment for you folks out there. If you want to stay on top of the controls world, go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino's new movie.
There you go.
Me and Ken and say, hey, I see how that relates, right? So.
Well, so I was speaking about Realcomm, IBCon. So one of the posts we had was CABA's Smart Building Summit, and it's May 3rd through the 5th, 2020. I wonder if that's going to, collide into anybody else's shows or whatever. But it's 2.5 days of direct presentations, customer relationship building, networking, and business development activities. So that's I think it's just the trend too, is that we used to have to go away for 4.5 days and go to a week, certification stuff. And we had a one-dimensional presentation. Now we're going into these network meetings where there's like a bunch of champions come together, get on front of get on a stage. And we're going to talk about something that you're doing here later on in September. But as a moderator of one of these incredible think tank tables where they bring the opinions from the different groups of, the customer, the realtor, the vendor, the contractor, the distributors, and they're getting this intelligence poured together, synthesized immediately, so that you get the complete picture, and then you get to hear the conjecture. So I think this is like Ken St. Clair always said, this autodidactic style learning. You learn what you need as you need to learn it, and it's there. So the idea is to make it the archives and make it easy to find and sort through it. But then to solve problems like cybersecurity, to solve problems like data analytics and whatever, you're seeing this information come together and really gelling all at the same time with a group of people that are very, very good at what they're doing and have the answers. They can answer questions to the crowd that are very high level questions, $1 million questions that are getting answered in front of the assembly there from 4 or 5 different perspectives. And it is an amazing learning process.
No, it is. It is. And hats off to Ron Zimmer. Ron runs the team at CABA, and CABA, they're kind of more, I think of them more as a very, very heavily researched sort of organization, right? They spend a lot of money doing studies, getting research, getting facts. I mean, if you want to know the facts, the real, skinny on what's going on, Ron and the team at CABA are fantastic. And you can sign up for that. You can get access to it. You can become a member of them. It's not very expensive, and you can have access to all this stuff. But it gets back to, Kenny, what you're saying. And I think Ron offers a very unique perspective. I think this will be a great conference. Hopefully you and I can maybe go cover it, because we haven't had a chance to cover one of his yet. But we see Ron at the shows. We know Ron. We know what they bring to the table. But it's a little bit like, the story, the analogy, I think you just elegantly said it's an analogy of, imagine, for example, that you had an elephant, and that, but your sight was limited. So one person could only see the foot, one person could see the, the
Tail,
snout or whatever, one person could see the tail or whatever. So, imagine if you just had that one perspective. So you thought an elephant was nothing but feet, right? And then, but if you could collaborate with other people that have different pictures of the same, different views of the same picture, then you can put together, and get more accurate what's actually there. And I think that's what we're seeing in our industry. I think we're seeing the owners are driving this. They're saying, hey, look, you engineers are like here, you vendors are here, your contractors are here. We want you guys to see the same picture. So, bring your views together. And then from that, we're going to put together a picture that works.
We saw that too, one of those, the 555 market building, district market building in DC on 12th Street Northwest. I still have this, the experience was just, again, it was a new precedent as far as what's there, the technology is there. And we got to see that all we talk about technology, but really who could put it all together into one presentation and make it all integrate and work and have deliver the value that's possible to the end user. So we're just seeing how the real desire, and we saw the generation like comfy, we were tickled to death with that, because the concept was so simple and basic, but yet so powerful to give somebody the ability to turn their heat and cool off, on their smartphone, and then say, I'm comfortable, and generate, customer, or, the occupant satisfaction. It delivered greater zonal efficiency for your system, because you knew exactly where everybody was at. And then 3, you actually had people that became energy misers. They didn't waste energy. They just wanted to be, they wanted that response. But once they were satisfied, they turned it off. And all of a sudden you've got, so all these things are happening. And then to track that into what we saw down there at the building 555 was remarkable, because then that occupant feels much, much more engaged, much more productive, wants to come to work, enjoys it, loves the novelty of this technology at their disposal. The first responders all of a sudden know where everybody's at. They know the pressure of the hydrants. So the visibility into the building is so increased, and everybody's more efficient. So then there's a good chance that building's going to stay 100% occupied.
Right. No, I think so. And I think they're able to probably even charge higher lease rates. They're not going to lose their tenants. And, our friend Mark Jewell, showed a study after a study. If you've got an energy efficient building where people are comfortable, people are going to stay there. But Kenny, to me, and I want to ask you, it seems like one of the key differentiators here was it wasn't business as usual. It wasn't sort of like, okay, the engineer architect goes to the contract to the engineer and goes, okay, set these different silos up, and they're just taking the what do you call it, cut and paste type things, and then you got the lighting guy going, well, I'm over here, I'm controlling this, and and nobody's cooperating. It seems like one of the key differentiators was the owner said, you guys will get along, and you'll figure out how to deliver this. I mean,
well, yeah, so they did, in fact. But I remember it well, where the gentleman from Jones Lang of the South said it all began with the framework. They had to have an open framework that they could put into the building as the infrastructure. From there, many of the riddles and the challenges could be solved. But the first thing was to have the best framework that would allow all these applications easy access to it, and then they future-proof the business. In other words, if a new technology came out, they feel quite confident that they can write an API, or somebody can do something to integrate that into the building network, the infrastructure. So it began with a framework. So you have to have an open framework, and that's where, when we talk about our business, we talk about the Niagara framework, we talk about the Finn framework, we talk about frameworks that allow this integration to occur at the highest levels, and then create the ecosystem. What we saw too there was representatives from every one of those substructures. So we had the security guy was there, The lighting was the state of the art from the Acuity folks, and then they had the controls from Distech, and these things, there was no mishaps. It was total integration, and then it was exciting. But that's probably the extreme example. Some of the things that I've been reading about is the progress, see the progression bar going across our screens of our lives. We're so used to that. We're so used to like seeing how long something takes, and we just know that 5G is going to just accelerate everything to 1,000 times faster than 4G, 100 to 1,000 times. And if you're tracking stuff, they're building 1 million towers all over the United States. They're going to 10 cities first, and once they have 5G in place, then it's really going to get crazy, Eric. Because what that means is, it is going to be autonomous vehicles everywhere, because that's if once we get 5G, autonomous vehicles will be the next logical thing, because those vehicles need to have that kind of information, a transaction that's instantaneous. There can be no latency. There can be any delay. So once they get that, we're going to see our industry come forward with it. So everything you're doing now, if you're putting the building together and you're putting your people together, master systems integrator was one great concept. In that particular instance, they set a standard. Jones Lang and LaSalle said, this is what we want. And so by them having the knowledge to specify a standard, it prevents a lot of leakage. It prevents a lot of non-qualifiers from happening.
I think it's absolutely right with, but I sense something else. I sense, because we met all the players, that they all got along. I sense that it was that, and hey, you guys are all going to play nice together. No shenanigans here. No finger pointings. If you're going to be part of this team, you're going to be a team, and you're going to work collectively together to do what's best for Jones Lang LaSalle, not what's best for your company per se. And I really felt that vibe there, and I might be missing that, but
no, I sense it too. You're right. There's definitely a spirit of cooperation and collaboration.
The spirit of cooperation and collaboration. And I think that's going to be a piece. I think that is going to be, and it's kind of an intangible in a way, but I think that's going to be something that the savvy business owners are going to want. They're going to want teams of people that have the spirit of collaboration, going to work together. And I think if you get invited to one of those parties, so to speak, to be on one of those jobs, and you don't collaborate and don't have that spirit, I think you're going to get a bad knock. And I think you're going to, probably not get invited back again. So I think that is another variable that's we're going to see is going to become more and more important, because you have to have that. Because even with the specification, because, the engineers have written great specifications, whether they're open or not open, but you and I've been around so many job sites where somebody's cutting corners, or somebody's not doing what they're supposed to do, or somebody's not collaborating. They're trying to set
it all come down to the dollar. Somebody underbid, somebody can't deliver the standard, so they find ways to cheapen up the job, or intelligently blame somebody else and say that I did not interpret that this way, whatever. So to have a supervisory overviewer, the MSI that we've talked about, they can say, look, I know that you're BS in here, because this is not going to work. I know the standard. This standard is not going to work. So don't put that in there unless you put one of the acceptable protocols in there that we know we can integrate with, or come with your driver. Bring your, we're going to bring this into our front end. But the rate of adoption, we see is the curious thing that I've learned to start to think. Because, I remember guys like Paul Oswald was, I always enjoy the seasoned veterans in there, and Ken St. Clair. So you got the one person talking, the sky's falling, the other one say it's impossible, the sky can't fall all at the same time. If it's falling to your world, everywhere else it might be stable. So the thing is that there's a rate of adoption, there's a journey, and the idea is to get into this positive result of the journey. So no matter what building you're in, next purchase you make an intelligent purchase. Don't buy something that's going to put you back in the corner and paint you into the corner of the room. Yeah.
Right. No, exactly. And I think that Jones Lang LaSalle, CB Richard Ellis, and others are setting a new standard, new precedents there. And it's ironic. I'll say it one more time. I think that it's going to get back to people skills. That's going to be another important part. You have to have the technical skills, but you're going to have the people skills to be able to get along. So, all right, dude, well, listen, that's good stuff.
I want to say one more thing, and see if you know these people. There's going to be one of these industry panel discussions I had mentioned earlier, and breaking barriers today, tomorrow, and the significant industry disruption that's taking place. So see if you recognize any of these people. We got a thought leader, Steve Weichel from Massachusetts Institute of Technology. He's a thought leader, keynote speaker. We have a contractor, Chris Shiro from Media Industries, national controls contractor. We have a vendor named Dan Preston from Johnson Controls. We have a distributor named Scott Cochran from Cochran Supply. And then we have the famous moderator, Eric Stromquist from Stromquist and Company. So that's the kind of thought pole I'm talking about. That is some serious firepower on the stage, and I know you're gonna agitate everybody and push them to what you want to see happen, and get the answers that you want to see answered.
I am a disruptive guy, and it is about disruption. So, I don't know. I think I'm gonna make them all sing "Kumbaya" or something like that. You can't even get the camera. It'll be worth having it. We'll make sure our audience has something to. Our Control Trends audience has something fun.
In fact, I quote. They say this is a pretty high octane group of people and speakers that will be valuable for everyone regarding the fast-paced issues facing our industry.
There's no doubt about that. And Jim Heyman from CGNA is telling me this guy from MIT they're bringing in is one of the foremost authorities on disruption and stuff like that. He's probably like me, and you probably got in trouble in the 60s, but so I'm interested in meeting him and hearing what he has to say. That's going to be good stuff, and we'll keep you posted on that. While we're at CGNA, we'll catch up with all the vendors and what they've got in terms of new products. And speaking of that, and speaking of Johnson Controls and Dan Preston, JCI has come out with their pressure independent control valve, and we'll be doing a piece on that. Won't be next. I'll be out of town next week. It'll be the week after, but we'll be doing a piece on that. And JCI, typical to how they rock and roll. They added some of their JCI engineering flavor to it, and there's some real advantages to some of those pressure independent controls valves they have. But Kenny, I tell you what, if you're not using pressure independent control valves, you're missing the boat. Our friends at Belimo, I think, were the first ones that I knew that came in. Mm-hmm. Siemens has one, Honeywell has one, and now JCI has added that to their already prolific bag of tricks, so to speak. So that's exciting stuff. So congratulations to the team at JCI. And like I said, we will have a technical piece and a training video out on that in the next couple of weeks.
Well, there's no question about the PIC valve, the PIC valve. There's different names from different providers. So you have again, you're right. Belimo pushed it really off. Griswold. I'm sorry, Griswold was the first one I saw where they actually put in inserts to regulate the flow, and they did it for the irrigation industry. So they had that exact flow through the fields, and weren't it wasn't what we're using it for. And that is to make sure we get maximum exchange of temperature from the medium to the coil or whatever. But now you have Johnson and Siemens also is coming out with a real second look to improve it, because it is enormous. Even though the first cost is considerable, Eric, the savings, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
But I don't think it's even that much more anymore. But essentially, to Kenny's point, what it does, I mean, any of our techs out there have had to go in there, man. Your test and balance guy comes in, you got your control valve. It's based on pressure, so if you have to size the valve, you got to do a pressure drop at C sub V, and at max flow, your coil's going to be optimal. Anything less than max flow, it can't modulate enough. And you had a circuit setter on the other side or a balancing valve, but it's basically set up to work at max flow. But you're not going to get good modulation, and your coil's going to flood. The pressure independent control valve is essentially a control valve that has a pressure regulator built into it. So what that basically means is you can size the valves based on GPM. There's no more C sub V. And it basically means that it can modulate down and up. So you get huge savings, not just the savings, Kenny, but also comfort levels. You're going to get much, much better control. So, if you think it's too expensive, call me or Kenny, and we'll make sure that you get a great price, right?
You got that right.
But we'll do more on that. But again, pressure independent control valves. We got some on the Control Trend site. Belimo's had them out for a while. They do a great job with them. JCI's got theirs, and there are a couple wrinkles JCI put in that we'll be writing about and shooting a video on, so you guys will know about that. But that being said, there'll be more vendors. We'll get new product updates from all the vendors at Controls Group North America in September.
Well, Eric, and I had one more. Just EGIO had a newsletter come out, and congratulations to Lindsay of Control Co. for she won the award for the first quarter sales, and George and Frank of Brody Precision won the second quarter sales. So
Frank Wibner.
Yeah, Frank and his son. So
no, his son is not George. His son's oh God, I know his son's name.
Brian. No. I think I did do that. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's all right.
Sorry, Frank.
I can't believe I can't. Matt. Anyhow, Matt Wibner.
Matt. There you go.
He's a great photographer.
Right.
Shout out to Matt and Frank.
Are you going to go back and you're going to fix that, right?
No, I'm not fixing anything. We don't edit on this show. You know that,
man. Dear. Then I apologize in advance. Sorry, Matt. I just I was trying to give you a kudos.
Put your hand towards the camera, Kenny. Huh? Just put your hand out to the camera like this. Like this. flat. Put it up. Boom. Okay, I just slapped his hand for you, Matt.
I got a digital slap. Okay, I haven't had one of those before.
Slap. That's a new thing, man. We just started the digital slap. Another Ken Smyers new term, digital slap. So, all right, buddy. Well, listen, we got to get off here, man. We appreciate our audience. Again, we're in the season now with Control Trends Awards. So, if you're interested in being a sponsor, now's the time to get on board. The nomination ballots will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. One new category we have this year is the Distributor of the Year. I think we mentioned that on a previous show. Kenny and I, DMS Controls, the Stromquist company, are not in that competition, so please don't vote for us. But we got some really, really great candidates that it's going to be great to see how that comes together.
Looking forward to it, Eric. You're right. Yeah, the show is always evolving, and that's the new categories. I think keep everything up to date, keep everybody interested. But I think what we're doing is we're recognizing some of the fabulous people in our industry, and distributors are a major component of the industry. And some of them have they've changed things. They're leading the way. They're illuminating the new paths.
Well, Kenny and I've said in this age of disruption, distribution could wind up being, if you play your cards right, the most important part of the whole supply chain. But you're going to have to up your game. Guys like Scott Cochran, Brian Turner, Roger Rebenak, Dave and Ken Smyers, the team at Stromquist, Kelly. There are a bunch of them out there that are doing it, but you got to up your game. And if you up your game, you can be the most important part of the distribution chain. If you don't, bye-bye. And speaking of that, thanks for tuning in this week. Thanks to our non-existent guests this week. Again, thanks again to Aaron Gorka and Brent Burrows for filling in for us last week. I'm Eric Stromquist. He's Ken Smyers. Remember, be bold, stay in control, stay relevant, and watch out for the digital slap.
All right, and what is this, Eric? Indeed. But what is that, huh?
It's football season.
Yeah.
Indeed, Kenny Smyers.
Indeed. Boom, boom, there's a knock at the door, but don't freeze in your tracks. It's that chance that you've been waiting for. It's the light coming through the crack.